I'm Dr. Dawn Barton Cadwallader. Everybody just refers to me as Dr. Dawn. I'm actually a chiropractor like Dr. Tina is. I graduated from Life University in 1996, and I practiced for 18 years. I practiced in Tennessee for 10, had a very large multidisciplinary practice there. Then I practiced in Wisconsin for 7 years, and 2.5 years ago I started working at the school. I'm the Regional Director of Strategic Outreach, so the work that I do is recruitment work. And a lot of what I do is go to doctors' offices and have student recruitment events like this one, just to talk to potential students about chiropractic, about what my story is about chiropractic, and about what it's like to go into the field of chiropractic. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So I don't know how much Dr. Tina has educated you about chiropractic, so I'm going to do a little bit of education about chiropractic so that you have an understanding of it. So give me an idea, how much do you know about like the whole philosophy of chiropractic?
Probably about 10-15%.
10 or 15%, and that's more than the normal person. So I always ask people this. Now you've been to a chiropractor, I know that, but how long have you been going to a chiropractor?
About 20 years.
About 20 years. How long have you been going to a dentist?
All my life.
Okay, all your life, right? Well, usually when I ask that question, I ask how many people in the room have been to a dentist before, and everybody raises their hand, and I ask how many people have been to a chiropractor before, and between 5 and 10% of the class raises their hands. So I always bring up the question of, why do you go to the chiropractor?
Oh,
There's no wrong
spine.
answer.
Well, for me, it was a lower back injury.
It was an injury, correct? So let me ask you this. Why do you go to a dentist?
For my teeth, keep them in shape and clean and everything.
So that's the biggest comparison that I can make as far as chiropractic and dentistry go. So back in the day, people didn't go to the dentist until they had pain. And when they went and they had pain, it's usually too late, right? So what happens with chiropractic is people wait until they have an injury, like you, and usually when they go, it's too late. Or there's already some kind of degeneration that's happened in their spine from years and years and years of overdoing things, of injuries, of car accidents, that sort of thing, even from birth trauma. So what I like to educate people in is that we're not pain doctors, we're actually nerve system doctors. So I don't know how much you know about anatomy or how the body works, but what system in the body controls everything? Your spine, and that's part of your nerve system, right? And at Life University, we don't say nervous system, because when you say nervous, you think nervous.
Oh.
So we say nerve system.
Nerve system.
So the system in your body that controls everything is your nerve system, which is consisting of your brain, your spinal cord, and all of the nerves that go to the rest of your body. So the signals come from your brain, go down your spinal cord, go out the body, and come from the nerves, and then go back up to the brain. The way that I always like to explain that to people is, say that you're standing in your kitchen and you put your hand on the hot stove, because people think that the signals go from the brain out, right? So you put your hand on a hot stove. Where does the first signal come that makes you remove your hand? It comes from the hand. It doesn't come from the brain, right? So it comes from the hand, goes up the nerves, up the spinal cord to the brain, and says to the brain, hot stove. And then the brain has to send a message down through all the nerves that says remove the hand. And then there's the whole series of what happens to get the hand to remove. Well, think of if you had any kind of impingement that would happen anywhere along that whole pathway, down and back, that it could make you have less reaction and you could get burned more. So that's what we do as chiropractors, is we remove nerve interference, not only for things like that, but nerve interference that may be going to your organs, to your cells, to every part of your body, so that your body can function at 100%. Does that make sense? It's pretty simple. So the best way that I can describe the philosophy of chiropractic is to explain the difference between chiropractic and medicine. So with chiropractic, we have a vitalistic philosophy, and that's what we are really big about at Life University, is a vitalistic philosophy, not only in our chiropractic programs, but in all of our programs. So vitalism is very different than mechanism, which is what medical doctors believe in. It's not that one is right and one is wrong, it's just two different philosophies. Does that make sense? Okay, so you go to a medical doctor and you're not feeling great, right? They tell you either there's nothing wrong or you need drugs or surgery, correct? That's a mechanistic philosophy. Everything in between is the vitalistic philosophy. The vitalistic philosophy is that the body is self-developing, self-maintaining, and self-healing. So by removing the nerve interference through chiropractic, we're actually helping the body that made itself heal itself. Make sense? So it's actually pretty simple when you think about it. We're not healing anything or curing anything. We're only helping the body to work the way that it's supposed to. As chiropractors, we don't prescribe drugs and we don't do surgery, even though in some states we are allowed to perform minor surgeries, deliver babies, that sort of thing. Most of us choose not to do those things because we're very strong in our vitalistic philosophy. However, we also don't believe that mechanism is wrong, because if I have a heart attack, the first thing I want to do is to be taken to the ER, correct? Don't put me on a table and adjust me. Yeah, get me to the ER and adjust me there. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
And also, we're not against prescription drugs, or a lot of people think that chiropractors are anti-drugs or anti-surgery, and that's really untrue. For example, a few years ago, I had shingles. Have you ever had shingles?
No, I haven't.
Very, 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 very painful disease. Was worse to me than childbirth. But thank God that I had that antiviral drug that I could take. So we're not against prescription drugs, we're against the overuse of prescription drugs and unnecessary surgeries. Because we all know that person that takes like 1 million prescription drugs. And the reason why that happens is they take one and there's side effects, they have to take another one, and then the cycle continues. And then they end up taking them long term. And the problem is the FDA doesn't approve drugs for long-term use. They're approved for short-term use. But unfortunately, people start taking them way over and over and over and more and more. And then we also see addictions, especially we see that today with all the opioids, right? So once again, we're a vitalistic philosophy. We're not against drugs and surgery. We're against the overuse of drugs and unnecessary surgeries. We believe that everybody should have a chiropractor, everybody should have a dentist, everybody should have a medical doctor, and that we should all work together. And that's where a lot of people gets misunderstood. So we believe in chiropractic care through life, starting at birth, because the first misalignment of the spine usually happens at birth, because the birthing canal is so small and the baby's head is turned. A lot of times that first misalignment happens at the top bone of the neck, which is why you see so many babies that have ear infections, colic, and that sort of thing as they're growing up, and then more problems as they develop. So with that being said, I always like to share my story about chiropractic, and then I want to share with you a little bit about Life University. Okay, so a lot of people go to chiropractic school because, say, everybody in their family is a chiropractor and they just followed along the lines. You'll see that big families where grandfather, father, mother, blah, blah, blah. Some people become chiropractors because when they were small, they had some miracle story that happened to them, so they decided, hey, I want to do that when I get older and I want to help people that way. Some people say they're in high school, they have an injury, they got chiropractic care, it really helped them, so they decided to go to chiropractic school. My story is a little bit different. I grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin, if you couldn't tell from my dialect. I grew up on a dairy farm in Wisconsin. I can do it really, I go Wisconsin. And I was going to University of Wisconsin in Madison, and I was going to go into the pharmacy program. I had a chiropractor that I had gone to when I was 19. It was my stepdad's chiropractor. He'd helped me when I had an injury, but never really taught me vitalism. He was more of a mechanistic chiropractic. So in chiropractic, you can have vitalism and mechanism. There are some schools that are actually more mechanistic. Life University is a very vitalistic chiropractic university. So I was babysitting for my chiropractor, and one day he said to me, Dawn, why are you going to pharmacy school? And I said, I don't know. And he said, I think that you should become a chiropractor. And I said, okay. So I applied to Palmer College in Davenport, Iowa, and I went.
Okay.
But the biggest reason why I went to chiropractic school is because I dated a guy all through middle school, all through high school. We dated for 10 years. We were still dating when I was in college in the University of Wisconsin. And I said to him, I think that I'm going to go to Palmer College and become a chiropractor. And he said, you can't. So I did.
Okay.
And Dr. Tina understands that very well because she knows that I'm a contrarian. So when you tell me not to do something and I can't do something, I'm going to prove you wrong. So I went to Palmer. I really didn't know that much about chiropractic. I really didn't know that much about the philosophy of chiropractic. I fell in love with chiropractic as I started through chiropractic school. I was very unhappy living in Davenport, Iowa. Palmer College is the oldest chiropractic college. It was founded in I don't know when Palmer was founded. The first chiropractic adjustment was in 1895, and I'll get to that. So I met my husband at Palmer, got married at Palmer. 2 weeks after we got married, we transferred to Life University. So we picked up, moved all the way to Atlanta and started at Life. I lost a whole year of credits, a lot of money, and a lot of time, but I think that it was one of the best decisions that I ever made in my life. So about 1.5 years after we were at Life, I got pregnant. And so my whole last year of schooling, I was pregnant with my daughter. I finished up my clinicals, my national boards. I finished up everything while I was pregnant, big as a house. And 2 weeks before graduation, I had my daughter. So I always like to tell people when they think that they can't overcome things in their life or they have a lot of stress in their lives. So I was in labor with my daughter for 36 hours. So if you think about that, that's a long time, 36 hours. I had her at 4:57 p.m. on a Saturday. So 36 hours of labor, 4:57 p.m. on a Saturday. Monday morning, 7 a.m., I had to sit finals.
Wow.
And she sat next to me in her little carrier, and I did it. And I graduated magna cum laude. So, anybody can do anything that they really put their mind to. So I don't tell you that for any reason except to tell you this. I was in labor for 36 hours. My daughter was squeezed in my birth canal for a long time. And that's a lot of pressure on a baby. So when she was born, she had labored breathing. She was struggling to breathe. So I did have her in Austell Hospital, but even though it was a hospital, it was a very vitalistic hospital. I had her in a birthing center with a midwife. It's actually a male midwife. It was a very wonderful experience. But Sophie did have labored breathing when she was born. Being a hospital setting, normally what they would do is drugs or surgery, right? Some kind of intervention. So my husband at the time took her over to a table and adjusted her. So at 4 minutes old, my daughter Sophie got her first chiropractic adjustment. She has gotten chiropractic care her whole entire life. Her labored breathing went away. She has never had asthma. She's never had a breathing problem. She's never been to a medical doctor. She's never taken a prescription drug. She's never had a vaccine, because most chiropractors, that's what our philosophy is. And she knows that when she's not felt great, when she was growing up, that she got adjusted. I've seen a temperature go from 104 to normal with her in just a matter of half an hour with one adjustment. So that's how chiropractic works. We see chiropractic miracles happen every single day. That was one of the reasons why I loved practicing chiropractic. I saw miracles happen all the time. People walk in your office and you see big changes that happen for the better. Nobody ever dies in your office, if that makes sense, which is different than medicine, where people say, well, I don't know if I want to go into something to do with healthcare, but I don't know if I can handle seeing blood or that sort of thing. And that's why chiropractic is so amazing, is because you see miracles happen all the time. The first miracle in chiropractic happened in 1895. Harvey Lillard was a deaf janitor, and he was adjusted by D.D. Palmer, and with one adjustment, he got his hearing back. So that was the first chiropractic adjustment. But that's my chiropractic story. I love Life University, and as I practiced, like I told you in the beginning, I practiced for 18 years. As I got later on in practice and running 2 businesses, I decided, and I started spending some time down at Life University. I found how rewarding it was for me to see other people find a profession that they loved so much as I did. And to me, if you find a career that you love, and for a lot of people, chiropractic is a second career. I went to school with medical doctors, I went to school with dentists, I went to school with accountants, people who weren't happy in their profession, and they're like, you know what, I want to become a chiropractor. I don't feel like you're ever too old to go back to school to find what your passion is. But I find that if you find what you love, it's never really a job. I never, ever hated going into my office to take care of people. Yeah, there were times I went and I didn't feel great, or there were times that I was tired, but I always left at the end of the day feeling rewarded because I knew that I had helped somebody, that I had spread sunshine into somebody's life. So I started deciding that when I got a little bit later in my career that I didn't want to retire working in the profession, that I wanted to retire working on the profession. So 2.5 years ago, I started working at the school. The work that I do is recruitment work, but I love what I do even more now because I get to share the story of chiropractic and Life University with other people. With that being said, I'm sure Dr. Tina has told you a little bit about Life University, but I'll share a little bit more, and I do have a lot of information in that packet for you too. We are the largest single campus chiropractic university in the world. But a lot of people know us for our chiropractic or for our rugby, but they don't know us for our other programs. So we have 14 undergraduate programs, 4 graduate programs, so lots of other things that somebody might be interested in, and they're all based on a vitalistic philosophy. We've got one of the top dietetics programs in the nation. It's one of the top 50, and we've also got we just put in a culinary arts nutrition program. We've got a positive psychology program that's one of only 3 in the nation. So lots of really interesting programs that even if you find that chiropractic isn't what you're interested in. The other thing that I always encourage students to do, prospective students like you, is to come to the school and visit. We do campus tours. Have you been to Life University?
No, I haven't.
Okay, we do campus tours, and you can always get a hold of me and I can help you set up a campus tour. But what we have 4 times a year that's really amazing is called Life Leadership Weekend. So we have one October, January, April, and then July. And the way it works is people like you, hundreds of other prospective students and their guests come to campus. We put you in a hotel room. We feed you the whole time. We shuttle you back and forth from the hotel to the school to the hotel. And it's really an amazing weekend to learn about life, about chiropractic, about, you talk to financial aid, you hear from the chancellor of our university, Dr. Guy Reekman. It's a life-changing weekend, even if it's for you to decide that you don't want to be a chiropractor or that you don't want to go to life. On Friday, you get to hear lots of different people speak. And on Saturday, we have experiential learning activities. I don't know if you've ever done anything like ropes courses. There are those activities you do where you learn about your life and about how you do things in your life, that sort of thing. So that's why I fell in love so much with life, because I'm a lead facilitator for those experiential learning activities. I've been doing that since probably about 2011. And I get to see lives changed every weekend. We have a at the end of the weekend on Saturday night, we have a testimonial dinner, and seriously, everybody in the room is crying because it's such a life-changing weekend. So I encourage you to come for that. I'm a Life Force doctor, and so is Dr. Tina, and we're also capable of giving you a scholarship for that weekend, which means instead of us only paying for your hotel room for 2 nights, we'll pay for it for 3 nights, and the school will reimburse you travel miles up to $300. So, because you'd probably be driving, but they'll reimburse you travel miles, so basically it makes the weekend be no cost for you to decide if chiropractic and Life University are the thing for you. Does that make sense?
Makes sense.
I know a lot of information in a little bit of time. I'm from the north, so I tend to talk really fast. Where are you from?
From Michigan.
Oh, awesome. So tell me just a little bit, why are you interested in chiropractic or life?
I really want to find out more about me and what's going on with me and my body.
Okay.
Yeah. I've been a chiropractor almost 20 years now. As the years have progressed, I've learned more and more and more about chiropractic.
Right.
And also Eastern medicine, not Western medicine.
Right.
That's my thing.
What do you currently do for a living?
I'm semi-retired.
Okay.
I haven't worked since I injured my back.
Okay.
That's how bad it's.
And that's interesting because somebody might say, well, I could become a chiropractor, but could I practice because of my past injuries? And I always tell people there's lots of other things that you can do in chiropractic besides go out and practice. Right. You can become a chiropractor and teach in a chiropractic university. You can become a chiropractor and go out and educate like I do. Right. There's lots of other things that you can do with a chiropractic degree than just have to go out and practice. And in fact, there's also animal chiropractors. In most states, animal chiropractors have to work underneath of that. But I have people all the time say, well, I don't really like people. I'm like, well, then become an animal chiropractor. So lots of different things. I know, it is. So yeah, it's really interesting. But I love chiropractic. I love the profession. I'm passionate about it. I'm passionate about Life University. I love the school. I encourage you to come to the school and check it out, especially for the Life Leadership Weekend. If you decide that you want to come up, just check out the dates. The next one's coming up. It's the weekend of October 13th through the 15th. Okay. And if that works for you, I just need to make sure you get registered correctly underneath Dr. Tina so that you can get your miles reimbursed and that third night of hotel.
Okay. That'll work.
Any questions?
No. I'm good. Yeah, I really wanted to know more about the university. What would it take to get there? What do I need to do?
Well, I think
that
the first step is always for people to come and check it out. Because once you check it out, you really get a feel for what it's all about. And even if you can't come for the leadership weekend, I host a lot of the tours that we do, a lot of the chiropractic tours. And if one of those doesn't work out for you too, I'll set up a private tour for you. Show you around.
I'm sure the dates will work out. I'm pretty open.
Oh, good. No questions?
No, good.
Do you guys have any questions?
No.
Do you have any questions?
No, I think the Life Leadership Weekend is critical. I've sent another student there. If you're interested in any one of their programs, that is the place to go.
Yeah.
For knowledge.
And there's a sheet in your bag that I gave you that lists all of our programs, and we're always putting in more undergraduate programs, always increasing those. We've got lots of really cool things going on at the university. You might not know this. We're in the middle of building a campus in Rome, Italy.
Oh, really?
We're putting a lot of our programs online. Another thing that we've got going on, we tore down the Commons. Did you know that?
I beg your pardon?
We tore down the whole Commons. Barclay Arms?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah, those are all in the process of being torn down. We're putting in residential housing. So basically, it's different than right now we have what you would consider apartments. It's called the Village Retreat. So they're not really dorms because it's like an apartment that two people share it. They have a common living room, kitchen, but they each have their own bedroom and bathroom. But what we're building now is more for what you would consider undergraduate, is residential housing with the dining area. Because right now we have a cafeteria, but it's not connected to our apartment complex. So, and it has limited hours. So we're building our undergraduates so much, we really need to get that housing in there because most parents, when they send their undergraduate students off to school, they want them in the dorms. Yeah. So I think that's really the biggest thing that's going on right now is that Barclay Arms is like demolished.
Wow,
Yeah,
I did not know that.
yeah. But that's all I got.